बच्चे छुट्टी पे हैं अभी. Okay, so we had discussed briefly the context and the purpose of Gulick and Ervik. Okay. So Gulick and Ervik continued the tradition of the empirical management or the search for science of management. Okay. In fact, we can say that Gulick and Ervik became the torch bearers of the science of management. Okay. So before writing what all this talked about, we'll write briefly about the context. Okay. So you start. Okay. Okay, give a heading. Brief overview of the era of orthodoxy. Brief overview of the era of orthodoxy. Brief overview of era of orthodoxy. Okay, right. The peak of paradigm 2. The peak of paradigm 2 can be considered as the publication of Gulick and Ervik's papers on science of administration. Papers on science of administration, which was born out of their experiences in variety of organizational settings, like civil, military, and industrial. Civil, military, and industrial. In fact, this phase, those who are late can start from where we are writing. Okay. In fact, this phase is christened as Namkaran, christened as the phase of orthodoxy, because of certain reasons. Number one, we had discussed yesterday which can lead to the discovery of, ये second point नहीं है, इसी में है, first point में ही है, which can lead to the discovery of universal principles of administration. Okay, in this regard, Gulick says, within quotes, that administration hitherto, what is the meaning? Till now. Hitherto has been an art. Till now, or hitherto has been an art, and there is no reason why it cannot be developed into a science. The second aspect, so the first aspect was the search for science. The second aspect is the management and administration are synonymous. Right. A belief in administration being synonymous to management. That is, the search for the most rational way of allocating and using the given resources. Allocating and using the given resources. Values and ideologies have no place. Values and ideologies have no place as far as the study of administration is concerned. Within this itself, you write, irrespective of the context, the principles of management are equally applicable as the principles of administration. Third point, revival of the politics administration dichotomy. So how can we say that it was a revival of dichotomy? Dichotomy gives the vertebrate, you understand? The vertebra of public administration. Okay, that is the basic framework on which the public administration as a discipline evolved. So if I take out that spine of public administration, then where will public administration be? Nowhere. Okay, so you cannot rule out the existence of dichotomy throughout the discourse of the study of public administration. Even today, dichotomy is as relevant as it was when the public administration was evolving. Okay. Today also you allude the administration or certain things only to administration, not to politics. Like construction of road is not the work of the politician, it is the work of the engineer. Okay. Administration of law and order is not the work of the politician. So you might blame, okay, morally and ethically the politician and political party, but it is actually the duty of the any system, any organization, even if it is political organization, works on the division of labor. Okay. So dichotomy is simply what? Division of labor. Is it or not? If you simplify it in the context of organization, then dichotomy is what? The entire political system has been divided into two parts. One, the formulation part, other the implementation part. Okay. So how do we see the revival of dichotomy here? Okay, and that's correct. Focus on principles. But something else is also visible. But they nowhere talk about the values, they nowhere talk about the politics, they nowhere talk about the ends. They are not concerned with anything. So from 1900 to 1940s or from 1887 to 1940s, okay, nobody is concerned with except Wilson to an extent. Okay, nobody is concerned with the ends. All of them are concerned with the study of means, and that means is the administration. Whether justice will be served, equity will be served, rule of law will be served, or something will be served, goods and services, what type of goods and services, nobody is concerned. Okay. And as they are they are considered as the epitome of this means-centric study of public administration. So you can say what? They glorified basically the dichotomy. Okay, even though they are not saying anywhere that it is about dichotomy. Why? Because we don't consider them as the writers of political science. We don't consider them as writers of public administration. They are basically writers of organization. So explicitly they are nowhere talking about a political system. Okay, but the moment they are saying that government and government administration must be like this. Okay, so they are assuming that even within the government, the role of administration is only confined to the implementation, or for that matter only to the study of techniques of implementation, nothing else. Are you getting this point? Okay, now you write. Right. Focus on the study of means. हाँ, और कहाँ लिखोगे? Focus on the study of means whereby best techniques could be developed in order to achieve efficiency and rationality. Okay. Next line. Nowhere the knowledge includes the study of goals of administration, or for that matter the ends to be achieved. In fact, efficiency and rationality became the ends of administration. Ends of administration. This is reflected in the famous statement of Gulick that true efficiency is synonymous to true democracy. True efficiency is synonymous to true democracy. You underline this. true efficiency is synonymous to true democracy. Is synonymous to true democracy. What does this mean? How can you interpret this statement or this equation? Like, so if I optimize the resource or use of resource, how it is going to serve the democracy? No, assuming administration. If the administration becomes efficient. Okay. Can this lead to no corruption? Or at least reduced corruption? Okay, then efficient service delivery. Okay. Qualitative goods and services. Okay. If they follow the procedures, okay, which according to them are the best procedures, then time, cost, responsibility. Better control. Okay, less deviation. Okay, so ultimately what it will have. Likewise, they are saying that if all this happens, ultimately it is going to serve the democracy better than it was doing till now. So they are saying if the administration improves itself technically, then also the democracy will be benefited. Okay. Though democratic goals are much wider than this. Okay. Now, can this increase participation? Can this increase participation? No. Thank you. Can it ensure rule of law? Can it increase voters' participation? नहीं कर सकता. But if this is not there, then they will suffer or not? They will definitely suffer. Public opinions, people voice, not informed. If the administration is non-performing, more conflicts, more revolts. Okay. Political instability would be high or not? Okay, so what he is trying to say that once we improve these means, okay, they will lead to certain outputs. Okay. Obviously, administration's performance will increase. Once the administration's performance, so where is the public interest being served? Okay. इंटरनल डेमोक्रेसी क्यों बोलेगा भाई, ये बताओ. नहीं, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में डेमोक्रेसी की बात ही नहीं कर रहे हो तो. आर दे कंसर्न विद द इंटरनल डेमोक्रेसी ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन? हैव दे ब्रॉट एनी कॉन्सेप्ट लाइक डेमोक्रेसी विद इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन? कैसे लिया जाएगा जब हायरार्की है, तो कैसे लिया जाएगा? No, that is not the logic. Okay, they are saying that once, okay, that logic is here is that if we improve the management, okay, there will be a consequent improvement in the administration. If we improve the administration, the political system will be benefited. इनका लॉजिक ये है. Management means the internal aspect of administration. So they are saying if we enhance the working of the administration, now administration is a means which the politics is using for achieving certain goals. Now if this means improves, what will happen? The goals will also be. है कि नहीं? बढ़िया रेजर लोगे तो शेव अच्छी बनेगी कि नहीं? है कि नहीं? तो शेव बनाने के लिए तुम्हारा हाथ भी बहुत जरूरी है, ठीक है, लेकिन रेजर सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट मीन्स है कि नहीं? ठीक है. So even if you have a hand, you cannot shave. You need to have a razor. So the logic is that howsoever good intention be, howsoever good politics be, it cannot become or it cannot convert itself into public interest unless we have good administration. So even though it is a means, it is not deciding what is the end, but once the end has been decided, now if we improve the means, then we can achieve this end in a much better way than we were doing earlier. That is simple logic they are using. Okay. And it is not a wrong logic, it is a correct logic. Okay. But a good administration does not include only the good techniques. A good administration also requires ethical bureaucrat, moral bureaucrat, empathetic and sympathetic bureaucracy. Okay. A bureaucracy which understands the cultures, the value and the other aspects of the society. Are you understanding this? So it is not only the technique and the technology that will improve the administration. Okay, the administrations or the administrator must also have, or they must also imbibe certain values to improve their performance. Even with the best technique, but with the wrong intention, a person can do more harm to the democracy than benefit. Okay, you are chief secretary, you have all the resources, but your intention is not good. You are ethically or morally corrupt, then you will destruct the democracy. Are you getting this logic? नहीं? प्रोसीजर सेट होगा तो ये थोड़ा ना बोला गया कि तुम्हें आज ही करना है ये. But they will have discretion. They will misuse the discretion. Okay. If they will have to serve a particular person, particular community, they will not serve it, they will delay it. Because the procedures are not standardized. Okay, that is what they are trying to say, that once the procedures or techniques become standardized, okay, they will do it. But this assumption is totally wrong, because we are assuming that they are merely agents. They will do what has been told, but it is not true. You have to understand that aspect also, that only this may not lead to this. Okay, we need good politics also. Okay, we need good intention also. We need moral values also within the administration. Then only they are going to use it properly. Okay, so you are given autonomy and you are given a good technique. Okay, now it is up to you how you use it for, or for what purpose you use it. So unless your purpose is moral and ethical or pro-citizen, okay, you might misuse it also, this power, whatever is given to you. Okay. So this aspect is missing from the analysis. But we are not going to discuss that part. First, let us focus on this only. So their intention was that the moment we improve the administration, okay, because eventually it is going to achieve the ends decided by the political system, the moment this means becomes, or it becomes best, okay, that very moment the end becomes the best. Because already end has been decided. But how to achieve that end, that is more important. Politics may decide, okay, make a highway. But how to make the best highway, now that is the concern of the administration. Politics will not decide how to make it, what kind of material to be used, when to use this material, how to utilize the labor and the skill. Now that is the task of the administration. So they are saying if the administration is knowledgeable, performance is high, then they can utilize all this in a much better way. Okay, obviously whatever the political ends have been decided, they can be achieved more efficiently now. So increasing public trust, okay, increasing public satisfaction, now these are what? The goals of democracy. Is it clear or still there is a problem? You write, elaborate it, it's better. As लिखिए, true efficiency is synonymous to true democracy. लिखिए, as administration is a means to achieve the ends of the politics, achieve the ends of the politics. Improvement in administration would eventually improve the achievement of goals. It would be faster, reliable, efficient, and would increase overall public satisfaction. If the public interest increases, or is positive, definitely it would. It would increase the trust of the citizens on their governments. Administration, next line. Administration as an instrument legitimizes what politics wants to achieve. Okay, if you have a policy, the policy is merely an intention unless it is implemented. If it is not implemented well, the entire legitimacy of the government, which is basically because of the policy that the government makes, the entire legitimacy is eroded because the people do not trust the government. So they are trying to say that, okay, how this trust is improved upon? It is only through the means of administration. So the importance of administration in democracy cannot be neglected. But what is the focus of administration? The focus of administration is the implementation. So improving the overall performance of the democracy, the administration also becomes a key actor, even though it may not be independent. Are you understanding this logic or not? If I talk about democracy, will the administration be a constituent element of democracy or not? It will be. So if that part or if that means or that institution is not improved upon, then what will happen? Will the legitimacy of the democracy will be under threat or not? If you don't make the road, okay, as simple as road, even then the government or people will start questioning the government. So how the government increases its legitimacy amongst the people? It is through the administration. The better administrative performance, that is how you view your government. You don't have any other means. The administrative performance is a reflection of the government's functioning. Is it or not? अभी कुछ हुआ? कुछ बहुत कुछ ठीक है. So जो government है, how it is visible to the people? Through the administration. Okay, so the moment there is a riot, communal riot, and the police is not able to control it, or administration is not able to control it, okay, whose legitimacy is eroded? Not the administrations, but the governments. Are you understanding? So even if it is a means, you cannot discard it simply as something subsidiary or an adjunct. Impossible. Because it is what the government is manifested. It is in the form of administration the government is manifested in the society. Are you understanding this? That is why they said true efficiency will be equivalent to true democracy. Because politics, no doubt, even though it may have its own ideals or different ideals of different political parties, but even if the government is doing something, we always assume that the government is doing it in a representative manner. Okay. So the political party may belong to a particular ideology, but government belongs to everyone. Okay, there is a difference between a party and the government. Okay. So Amit Shah may be working for the BJP, but Modi is not. Modi is working for the society. Okay, so that is the difference between a party president and the government, or head of the government. Okay, so they are trying to say the same thing, that it is the administration which becomes the barometer of public opinion for the government. Now is it understood? Okay, you're right. It's okay. Right. Okay. Administrative performance is the barometer of public opinion. Barometer of public opinion with respect to the government of the day. In fact, administration is the day-to-day manifestation of the political institutions and their intention. Political institutions and their intention. Now say demonetization is a big policy, no doubt is a big policy shift, or at least it was an event in the economic system of India. Okay. But how do you visualize the demonetization? You do not know the economics about or behind that demonetization. Okay. You might not know the international context behind the demonetization. Okay. But how do you visualize the demonetization? Only through the ATM which you see. Whether ATM is functioning or not functioning. Whether ATM has notes or no notes. So you start criticizing finance minister to the RBI governor only because you don't get notes from the ATM. Is it or not? So you see, entire legitimacy of the finance ministry and the institution of RBI is manifested in the form of certain ATMs. And how efficiently the ATM is able to deliver the notes or not. This you might have experienced yourself. Is it or not? So when you were traveling from one ATM to another ATM, okay, you must be abusing the Modi and the Jaitley and so many people. So you saw, because you do not know the true nature of the policy. You are only doing, or you are only behaving or voicing your opinion based on the practical manifestation of that government. What is that? Simply an ATM. Okay, that is what they are trying to say. That if the administrative performance increases, okay, that very moment the democratic goals are realized more faster. And though democracy may have some philosophical and ideological goals also, but that is not the purpose of the administration. Administration purpose is what? To transform the policies or the intentions of the government into concrete outcomes. Are you understanding this? So what those concrete outcomes would be, or how better those outcomes would be or outputs would be, it depends upon how better the administration is. So these statements also highlight what? It highlights the importance of administration within the democracy. Till now, administration being treated only as merely an adjunct to the political system. Okay, but because their focus was on the study of administration and the science of administration, what they did? They provided that status or elevated status to the administration within the democracy. Merely an agent, but these agents cannot be neglected. Is it clear now? Okay. It's okay. Anything you can take, what you want. Whatever you see is the manifestation of government. Any public service you are using, manifestation of the government. Yeah, obviously, it is because the government system is working through hierarchy. Even if it is fault, that means what? The superior has not supervised it properly. He has not supervised it properly, then that means his superior is also lax regarding the evaluation of the performance of the subordinate. Like this. Right. So, no, see, obviously because they are structural theorists. Okay, they are more concerned with the formal procedures. Behavior they are not studying. But that is also correct that okay, it cannot be as simple as true efficiency equivalent to true democracy. Democracy has various other aspects to be fulfilled. Okay, various influences are there within democracy. So it is not simple that okay, improve the technique and improve the outcomes of democracy. Okay, with the best intention, with the best technique also you may not give a good performance or best performance. People may not want it. Okay. So you may know all the science behind the construction of a dam, but people may not be willing to let go of their land. Okay. Or the made between the public and private administration. Okay, if I am concerned with a good pen, how does it matter if I write government accounts or I write Tata accounts? Does it matter? My concern is the search for good pen. I develop a good pen and I give it to the people and I say, okay, use it wherever you want. Whatever you write, it will be good. So if you understand whatever they are talking about is the same or in the similar way, they are concerned with the design of the organization. And they are saying once we know the best is an administration and it is organized in a particular structure. But you can understand the amount of pressure this structure has to undergo. It may be the same structure as used by the private organization. But the load bearing capacity of this structure must be very high compared to that structure. So we are using the similar structure, it's okay. Now if we talk about the private administration. So maybe same an organization having a typical structure as the public organization. Okay, here the context is more of market, internal, external trade, financial and capital markets. Okay. Economic policies, Mostly influence is coming from these. Okay, they are the dominant factors. Okay. What are the values here? Okay. The values which guide the public and private administration. But they are the values of the market or the economics. Then profit. Okay. So economy is okay. Then efficiency includes that. Okay, it includes allocative efficiency. What is allocative efficiency? No, it is not just allocation. Allocative efficiency is a term used with management. Okay, if you see justice and equity, how do you identify justice and equity? These are the values which guide the administration. But how do you identify that you are being just and you are being equitable? Oh, that's fine, but how do you define there in public? You have norms, rules, regulations. Okay, you identify typical citizens or the beneficiaries based on that, or according to the need of the beneficiaries, you try to draw a plan and then deliver it. Okay. But here the purpose is what? The purpose here is not the profit. Profit of who? No, the organization. Here purpose is not the profit of organization. Here the purpose is profit of the customer or the citizen. Here the purpose is the profit of the organization. Okay. So allocative efficiency relates to that. Okay. There, how efficiently the resources are allocated so that the citizen benefits, maximizes his benefit. So minimum benefit or even no benefit or loss to the organization, but maximum benefit to the citizen. Here it is the reverse. It's not that they don't want customer satisfaction, but obviously they don't want customer profit. They want their profit. Okay. So they are guided by these values, or you can say they have organizational policies, procedures. Okay, they are also controlled, no doubt, but they are generally controlled by these. Okay. They might have certain company values, customer first, preference of the customer, or so on, whatever. Now, how they are controlled? They are also accountable. It's not they are not accountable, but they are accountable to only the internal aspects of the organization. So internally, their accountability is very high. Okay. Their accountability is also internal, mostly. But here, who is the person or what is the institution which is making them accountable? It is only the CEO or the management or the owner. Okay, this may be an individual or a group of people. Okay. Accountable to investors, shareholders, and that too also depends upon the number of shares you hold. Okay. So they are accountable to a limited number of people, and also those people may not be representative in nature. So their nature of accountability is non-representative. So they are working for customer interest. No doubt customer is also a part of the society. Customer is also a citizen. But when you are treating him as citizen, then you talk about fundamental rights, then you talk about constitutional rights, then you talk about variety of civil and political rights. But when you are treating him as customer, you only talk about his rights with respect to a particular product which he has purchased. So this is a very narrow, or it is the demand of the organization, okay, imposed upon by the customer is very limited. Here the demand by the public or the citizen imposed upon the organization is very broad. So you see their behavior will be shaped by this kind of control, and their behavior will be shaped by this kind of control. Now it is very easy to define that what will be the specifics of the product and how the organization would be accountable or responsible to you with respect to this product. At the maximum, they can be the nature of product is also important, no doubt. So if a private vendor is selling you penicillin or some life-saving drug, obviously the nature of accountability increases, but not because the organization is willing to, but because government is controlling it. So wherever the public control over the private organization increases in certain sectors, there the nature of accountability of the private can also be in the form of the public. Are you getting this point? Hospital, health sector, okay, there are a variety of sectors where even if the servicing is being delivered by the private sector, the nature of responsibility or accountability over the private sector is almost equivalent to the public sector. But it depends upon the nature of product. Okay, fine. But in general, it is not so. Okay, mostly their accountability is towards the maintenance or the performance of the product, or at the maximum replacement of the product by the vendor, nothing else. How you use that product, where you use that product, whether that usage is going to lead to some consequence for the society, good or bad, it is not their concern. But imagine a public organization, even if the service has been delivered, the consequence created by the use of that service or product is also the responsibility of the public organization. Are you understanding this? So their accountability does not end only at the delivery of service or product, whereas their responsibility actually ends. Are you getting? So most of these theorists, okay, they understood the organization's role only till here. Same thing, only till here. Somewhere, okay, we have delivered the goods and service. Now what about this part? They did not try to visualize this part. That once the citizen acquires a good or services, after that the actual public organization's role starts. Feedback, political process, okay, electoral process, so many things are there, which will influence even when the service or product has been delivered efficiently. Are you understanding this? So, the public nature of public organization itself is one of the biggest difference between public and private. Okay. So, there is a person, Appleby. Okay, he is saying that public and private can be distinguished, or public and private administration can be distinguished based on certain factors. Okay. Okay, so he's saying on the basis of the breadth, the scope, the impact, and the consideration. These are some important factors on which we can distinguish between public and private. In fact, this talks about what we have already talked about. Okay. The roles, the responsibility of the public organization or the public is much broader compared to the private. Okay. It is broader, it is deeper, okay. It is higher, whatever you talk about. So the dimensions, okay, or the scope in terms of the services or products much broader, okay, much invasive when compared to the private sector. Scope, okay, so from womb to tomb, okay, from your birth certificate to your death certificate. Whatever you do, your entire life is basically controlled by the public organization. So the variety of roles and the variety of services they have to deliver, they cannot even imagine. Okay. Impact. But here the impact is only related to some product and whatever the product was supposed to deliver, or service provided by the service provider. But here the impact can be as big as a revolt, a change in the government, okay, a change in the political system itself, or so many things. Human rights, disaster, many things. So when we talk about any public decision, any government or administrative decision, okay, even a small change, a small mistake in the decision can have multiple effects. So like you said, one engineer decides to bypass a single safety norm. Now what will be the impact? The impact would be the loss of lives of thousands of passengers. Now that kind of impact cannot be created by private organization. Impossible. Maybe thousands, no doubt. People won't have iPhone, okay, or there will be a glitch in the iPhone. So you might be restless for some time, but obviously it is not concerned with your survival, life and death. But here the impact is related to life and death. Okay. So he is saying that, okay, impact is also an important criteria. Consideration, here the consideration is the customer, here the consideration is the citizen. So public versus private, okay, boils down to the nature of public as well as, or the context of public and the context of private. Also it is like a debate between the citizen versus customer. So who should be protected, the citizen or how organizations come into being? And a comparative study of all the four bases with respect to cost, time and efficiency efficiency. Diversity of organizations exist. Diversity of organizations exist, and not only in economic arena, and not only in economic arena, but equally visible in political and social arena. Political and social arena. Okay, these bases provided the later theorists with a starting point of understanding how an efficient structure of a particular organization based on a particular basis can be conceived. Okay. Though these bases may have numerous overlappings, and more or less most of the organizations will include all the four bases. The utility of this principle cannot be denied. If division of work would be done, then corresponding structures would be required. Corresponding structures would be required. Though he did not consider the other important factors on the basis of which the organizations could be created. For example, culture, politics, availability of resources, both material and men. Availability of resources, both material and men, etc., etc. Okay, so if I have, he's saying that okay, these are the basis on which the organization would be created, and this classification would lead to a rational structure. Okay, but I may not have skilled human resource. Sorry, I may not have a skilled human resource, but I would need that organization. Then what will I do? Okay, obviously, we will not create it. We cannot create such an organization even if we know that the need for this organization or the basis for this organization is what? The technique. I don't have the technology. Okay. I may have the technology and I want to create the organization, but I may not create it because the politics does not want it. The culture does not want it. So what is the determining factor of the creation of organization? Is the possession of the technique or it is the politics? The politics. So politics becomes more dominant factor than the technique I have in determining the structure what will be created. Okay. They did not visualize it, but it is not their mistake. Okay. He has initially said that I am concerned with the isolation of structure from all the other considerations. Or Arvik. So they were concerned with the isolation of the structure, okay, not necessarily the evaluation of the interaction of these factors with the structure. Fine. Third principle, likhiye, right? So first was specialization or division of work, then basis of departmentation, then third, coordination through hierarchy. Same thing which we have discussed. Coordination through hierarchy means obviously a superior subordinate relationship is created. Okay. Fourth principle, deliberate coordination. Okay, this is important. How do you create deliberate coordination? What is the meaning of deliberate coordination? One is coordination through hierarchy, which is already formal and procedural. So it is obvious that people will accept the control, the command of the superiors. Okay. But in spite of that formal hierarchy, there might be situations of conflict. Okay. So Gulick accepts that, okay, in spite of having this formal structure, the rigid structure, there is a situation which may arise where there may be a conflict between the superior and the subordinate, or there may be conflict at the level of the employees, workers. Then what to do? How will you're correct, willingness, motivation, okay. But how do we create that willingness? So deliberate coordination would include what? Understanding that certain established or formal procedures may not work. So for that what? Alternative mechanisms are created. What are the alternative mechanisms? Like he's saying that let us assume there is a conflict in the organization. Now they are not the supporters of the humanistic aspect of resolving the conflict. Okay, they are not supporting the idea that okay, go to every worker, ask him what do you need. Okay. And then according to his need, now redesign your procedure or structure. No, not possible. We are saying, but no, there is a way of deliberate coordination will be what? Deliberate coordination will be created either through rewards, deliberate coordination through punishment, okay. Deliberate coordination through training, okay. Conditioning of the employees. Okay. Also, okay, you write few things, then you write deliberate coordination, right? Who will do this deliberate coordination? Manager. Now, manager is not a humanist person, according to them. Manager is a person who is following the orders. Okay. Pure scope, planning, organizing, that is what manager is. Okay, right. Deliberate coordination is required where? Deliberate coordination is required where? Where the formal hierarchy may not be able to solve the conflicts. Number of departments within the same organization, may not be willing to cooperate. Why will they not be willing to cooperate? They want the domination. If the work is not standardized, if there is no understanding of work, then what will happen? The coordination is difficult to create. Okay. So they may feel that, okay, we must, because there is a formal system, we must maintain this formal system. But because of lack of knowledge, because of lack of understanding of the nature of the work itself, they may not be willing to contribute. If you don't know what you have to do or how you have to do it, and even if you are willing, will you contribute? You will not. Okay. So they are saying, see, they have highlighted the importance of staff agencies, training, okay, punishments and rewards. Okay. So through these, because staff is basically one of the mechanisms by which deliberate coordination can be brought about. So if there is something like a think tank, an advisory body, and numerous departments, they are in conflict. Okay, or people within a particular department are in conflict. So they are saying what these staff agencies will do. These staff agencies will create a deliberate coordination. Why? Because they are not in the line of formal system. So they might use different type of techniques. Okay. Like willingness. But how to create the willingness? The willingness cannot be created by the manager. The willingness has to be created by somebody outside, that is the staff. So if there is a boss, okay, and this boss is not going to toe the line of the subordinate, okay, he is a manager and already there is a relationship of fear and distrust between the superior and the subordinate, then how can he create the willingness? He cannot create the willingness, because already there is a difference, or there is a distance between, power distance between the superior and subordinate. So even he will come to you, okay, you will start going further. You will start moving away from him. वो बोलेगा नहीं, आ जाओ, नहीं मैं कुछ नहीं करूँगा, फिर भी तुम भाग जाओगे. That is how you will react. So if the general manager calls you, say no, you sit, today I have changed my attitude. Today don't consider me as manager. I am your friend. Okay. Then you will sense there is more danger today. That is how you feel. You know, when your father tells you, no, it's okay, आ जाओ, कोई बात नहीं. Fail हो गया, कोई बात नहीं, आ जाओ. तो तुम्हें लगता है कि now there is going to be some other task which was more harder than what I am doing. So logic is that, okay, even if you want, even if they feel that they can do it through this, it is impossible. So training hai, education hai, informal mechanisms hai, even though I won't say informal because they have not used the term informal, but using the staff is like informal. Because they are not exercising the actual authority of the hierarchy. Okay. देखिए. What did you write? कहाँ पे रुके थे भाई? हाँ, may not be willing to cooperate, mostly because of non-standardization of work, and lack of skill to contribute. Non-standardization of work and lack of skill to contribute. In such a scenario, a deliberate coordination, that is the manipulation of the means, means like rules, regulation, procedure, whatever. Manipulation of the means, resources, has to be done so that a willing participation of the superior as well as the subordinate or subunits can be achieved. Now see, vertical coordination is also required and horizontal coordination between department and department, subunit and subunit, and within the subunit also, both ways, vertical and horizontal both. So it's saying that how we can achieve it. The means used can be training, education, rewards, incentives, and increasing role of, underline this, increasing role of the staff agencies. Staff agencies. As staff is not part of the formal hierarchy, it's is not part of the formal hierarchy. Its role and influence is much more acceptable. Its role and influence is much more acceptable in the process of coordination. Staffs also contribute in increasing the overall knowledge and decision making, ability of the members of the organization. Okay, so they are saying that deliberate coordination. Now, deliberate coordination here does not mean it is purely like humanistic approach. Here, deliberate coordination is basically manipulation of the means. You do this, I'll do this. That is a deliberate coordination. But yes, role of staff can be used. Okay. It is a particular type of approach which is used in the organization. Okay, known as if you know that somebody is not willing to do something, okay, but you know his breaking point, then you can make him willing also. Okay, that is known as it is known as transactional leadership or transactional approach. Okay, where the conduct of the employee is based on the amount of benefit transacted between the manager and the employee. So the manager says that, okay, if you do this, then I will do this for you. So it is something like a quid pro quo. So if you are willing to do this, or you are not willing to do this, the benefit is this much. If the benefit is increased to twice or thrice the amount, then probably I am willing to do it. Now that is a transactional leadership. So what he is trying to say here is basically the transactional nature of leadership which is used in the organization. Here there is no concern whatsoever with the employee. You are only giving him the benefit because he is able to serve your goal properly. Sometimes goals are difficult. Sometimes there are typical type of goals which people may not be willing to do, or certain type of activities, in which people may not be willing to participate. So you want people to, as you can say, associate with you for climbing the Mount Everest. So you go and search for people you don't find. What will you do then? Then you might lure people into some incentives. If the government wants people to clean the drains, the sewage drains, who will contribute? So government may increase the incentive to that level where his willingness is converted into a greed. That is how the organization works. So the moment, why do you think that so many perks and privileges are given to bureaucrats? Why will an SP need so many such huge paraphernalia and the DSP will not need it? He is also doing the same kind of activity, he is also doing the same. Only the territorial extent is different. DSP is enjoying much more privileges than the ASP because he is directly in the field. Inspector is enjoying much more privileges than the DIG because DIG cannot go and directly ask for money. The inspector can. So the logic is that variety of tasks, now paramilitary or army, you will not perform those activities unless some certain incentives which are way beyond your contribution. What you feel you are worthy, maybe many times more than that is given to you, so you are willing to contribute. That is what the logic is. Don't understand or misunderstand this logic that he was pro-human being. He's saying deliberate coordination means here that how somehow we can manipulate these means and make people to contribute. Either subunits or units, how do you create? Maybe through incentive, maybe through reward, maybe through technology, or maybe through education and research, or something, but you have to do it. Have you understood this much? You write one question. Will it be acceptable to call? Will it be acceptable to call Gulick and Urwick as as organizational designers. As organizational designers? If yes, what is their contribution to the understanding of the structure of organization? With 200 words. Second question. If true efficiency is synonymous to true democracy, if true efficiency is synonymous to true democracy, then it is a democracy without democratization. Comment. Okay. Third question. Okay. Era of orthodoxy. Is nothing but the era of Scientocracy. Hugo Montesberg is a theorist. Okay. Pareto, have you heard the name? They are the theorists who have worked. So Montesberg has used Scientocracy. Okay. So if we are comparing era of orthodoxy with era of Scientocracy, what does it mean? The structure governs, not the humans. The rule governs, not the humans. The procedures govern, not the humans. Okay. So it is good, nothing wrong with that. Okay. But then procedures also do not understand the need of the humans. Ultimately, those procedures are an outcome of some human cognition or not. If it is drawn out of experience and factual verification, even then also it is the human who is acquiring this knowledge. But that knowledge itself is devoid of humanism. Why? Because it did not focus on the study of humans, but it focused on the study of structure. Okay, that means for structure they could violate any humanistic value system. Have you understood this much? ठीक है. So घर जाओ, आराम करो. Okay. Have you taken the book Rum Ki Basu? Okay, if you have not taken, kindly take it. Start reading it. Okay. So not this, but next Sunday, okay, I will be taking a test. whatever we will do by this week will be asked in the next week. Then likewise it will follow. What will be added in the next week, again that will be added to this week and it will be asked next week. Okay. So I had talked about incorporating the news items. Okay. But let me first complete this theoretical portion of paradigm 2. When we enter the Simon and the policy, okay, then newspapers, you can bring the newspaper to the class, no problem, from tomorrow. Okay, so whatever is required, I will tell you what you can, where you can add in the public administration. Okay. But bring the same newspaper.